The murder of Christine Jessop, one of Canada's most heartbreaking cold cases. Introduction. On October 3, 1984, the quiet community of Queensville, Ontario, was forever changed. 9-year-old Christine Jessop disappeared while walking to a nearby store. At first, her family believed she had simply been delayed. But as the hours passed, fear began to grow. No one could have imagined that this missing child case would become one of Canada's most controversial murder investigations, one that would involve a wrongful conviction, decades of unanswered questions, and a breakthrough made possible by modern DNA technology. This is the tragic story of the murder of Christine Jessop. A happy childhood. Christine Jessop was a cheerful and friendly 9-year-old girl. She lived with her parents and siblings in the small rural community of Queensville, Ontario. She loved spending time outdoors, playing with friends, and enjoying family activities. To everyone who knew her, Christine was a kind and happy child with a bright future ahead of her. No one knew that an ordinary autumn afternoon would become the last day she was ever seen alive. The day she disappeared. On October 3, 1984, Christine left her home to walk to a nearby store. It was a short trip that she had made before. But this time, she never came home. When she failed to return, her family immediately became worried. They searched nearby roads, fields, and neighborhoods. As daylight disappeared, police were called. Soon, hundreds of volunteers joined one of the largest missing child searches in Ontario at that time. Search teams combed forests, rivers, farms, and open fields. Helicopters searched from above. Police dogs followed possible trails. Despite days of searching, there was no sign of Christine. A terrible discovery. Nearly 3 months later, on December 31, 1984, a person walking through a wooded area discovered human remains. The location was about 50 kilometers from Christine's home. Police quickly arrived. Dental records and forensic examinations confirmed the heartbreaking truth. The remains belonged to 9-year-old Christine Jessop. The nation was devastated. The missing child investigation officially became a murder investigation. The hunt for a killer. Detectives launched a massive investigation. Hundreds of people were interviewed. Thousands of tips were received. Investigators collected physical evidence and attempted to reconstruct Christine's final hours. As public pressure increased, police focused their attention on a local musician named Guy Paul Morin. Morin denied any involvement from the very beginning. However, investigators believed they had enough evidence to move forward. The trial attracted national attention. Prosecutors argued that Morin was responsible for Christine's murder. The defense insisted there was no reliable evidence linking him to the crime. Despite maintaining his innocence, Guy Paul Morin was convicted. For many Canadians, the case appeared to be solved. But the story was far from over. The truth begins to change. In the 1990s, DNA technology became much more advanced. Scientists re-examined biological evidence collected from the crime scene. The results were shocking. The DNA did not match Guy Paul Morin. The evidence proved he was innocent. His conviction was overturned, and he was officially exonerated. The case became one of Canada's most famous examples of a wrongful conviction. It also led to major discussions about police procedures, eyewitness testimony, and the importance of forensic science. A new investigation. Even after Morin was clear, Christine's real killer remained unknown. Years passed. Investigators refused to give up. They preserved the evidence, hoping future scientific advances would reveal new answers. In 2020, modern DNA techniques allowed investigators to compare crime scene evidence with genetic information from relatives of potential suspects. This method, known as investigative genetic genealogy, opened a completely new path in the investigation. DNA finally identifies a suspect. After decades of mystery, police announced that the DNA evidence pointed to Calvin Hoover. Hoover had lived in the area when Christine disappeared. However, he had died in 2015, 5 years before the DNA breakthrough. Because he was no longer alive, he could never be questioned or tried in court. Investigators stated that the DNA evidence strongly identified him as the likely perpetrator and said they had found no evidence that anyone else was involved. The impact on Canada. The Christine Jessop case changed Canadian criminal justice forever. It highlighted the dangers of wrongful convictions. It encouraged improvements in forensic science. It also showed how preserving evidence can help solve crimes many years later. Today, the case is studied by investigators, lawyers, and forensic experts as an important lesson in both criminal investigations and the pursuit of justice. Conclusion. More than 3 decades after Christine disappeared, modern DNA technology finally provided answers that investigators had searched for since 1984. Although the identified suspect could never face trial, Christine's family finally learned what investigators believe happened. The case remains one of the most important criminal investigations in Canadian history, a reminder that justice can sometimes take decades, but the search for truth never truly ends. What are your thoughts about this case? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoy true crime documentaries and carefully researched cold cases, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more real crime stories from Canada and around the world.